Greetings, 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 and welcome to the live. Welcome to the Inner Marriage channel. Welcome to the live. Happy Monday wherever you are. Today we're going to be getting into the topic that may surprise you, which is the review of narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation. This is what we're going to be talking about. How your narcissistic abuse was a spiritual initiation. And so if you want to learn more about why you went through narcissistic abuse, why narcissistic abuse happened to you, this is the life for you. My name is Dr. Nana Gyesie, the shamanic leadership coach here at Inner Marriage. And today we are talking about narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation for empaths. Narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation for empaths. So if you've ever experienced narcissistic abuse, curious about what happened to you and why it happened, you've come to the right place. This is what we're talking about. Narcissistic abuse as spiritual initiation. So welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Glad you're here, glad to hear. Hi, Christina, glad you're here. Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy Monday wherever you are. Happy Monday. Happy Moon Day. Happy beginning of the week to you. Hopefully you're looking forward to some good things happening to you this week. And part of the good news is today we're going to be talking about narcissistic abuse. Hey, baby. Oh, hey, babe. Greetings to you. Today we're talking about narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation. The journey from hell to sovereignty for an empath. Narcissistic abuse as spiritual initiation. So we put in a realistic perspective on why you experience narcissistic abuse. And so this is the topic, narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation. And it's possible you may have gotten this perspective before, but if you haven't, today you're really going to get a perspective and a deep understanding of why your narcissistic abuse was the hidden journey from hell to heaven, from hell to sovereignty. This is what narcissistic abuse does to you. So if you want to learn more about narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation, you are in the right place. And this is what we're going to be talking about. And Jackety Jack, I get it. I hope so too. And today we're going to talk about all the reasons why it happened to you so you can understand your narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation. And the spiritual initiation, which is designed to take you from the journey from hell to heaven, from hell to sovereignty. So that's what we're talking about today. Welcome in. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. But the topic today is narcissistic abuse, the journey from your hell to your heaven, even if it may not feel like that. Hi, Janelle. Welcome in. Welcome in. So this is what we're focused on today. Narcissistic abuse as your initiation from hell to heaven. You said it, Don Marie. That's exactly what it is. And so we're going to go into some details that actually enable you to see it in its proper function. That narcissistic abuse that you experienced was simply your ability to transition from hell to heaven. And no, it's not that you should be able to put comments on there, but I see people commenting, so I don't know what's going on. Knox Thrive, I try it again. But narcissistic abuse as spiritual initiation. Narcissistic abuse as spiritual initiation. I get it, Jackety Jack. I get it. And that's what we're going to cover today. How narcissistic abuse takes you, if you understand it's an initiation, from hell to heaven. From your lower nature to your higher nature, right? So if you're really trying to get a deep understanding of what narcissistic abuse really came to do in your life, you are in the right place. And today, what we're talking about is how narcissistic abuse shifts you from hell to heaven. Because both are frequencies available to you right here, Missy. This is what we're going to be talking about. So come on in, tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. And Annie, you're still in it at 45. I only recently realized my older sister, who I live with, is likely a covert narcissist. Oh, I'm so sorry. And we're going to get into the details today, right? So come on in and tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. And for those who are just joining, I am Dr. Nana Gyesie, your shamanic leadership guide and coach here at Inner Mileage. And I'm an empath just like you, and I've been through the same things that you have been through. And this is how I'm at the point of sharing with you and inviting you to your own initiation and your own escape from the lower realms to the higher realms. Hi, Miss Wonder Woman, how you doing? Come on in, come on in. So let's get started. Let's jump right in. Let's jump right in. So the topic today is about narcissistic abuse as a spiritual initiation. Narcissistic abuse as an initiation. And today, I'm not speaking to you simply as a theorist, but really as a gatekeeper of truth for those who are ready, right? Amanda, if you're ready, this is what it is. And it's important to realize that what you thought was narcissistic abuse was actually a spiritual initiation disguised as devastation. Now, if you already got your attention, tell 5 more people to join this live, because we need everybody to hear, everybody who's ready to hear this, right? And come in and join this live. So if you've been through it, if you're awakening from it, it's important that you know that you're not broken, you were cursed, but you're not weak. You were chosen to pass through one of the most ancient rites of transformation known to the soul. And this is not to make you feel good. What we're talking about today is an initiation science. This is spiritual physics and trauma alchemy. And what we're going to cover today is what a spiritual initiation actually is, with some evidence, because I like to give evidence, what happens to you to initiate in real terms, and how you are sent out of the hell realm. And if you want to learn how you are sent, then certainly book a free session on my website, innermileage.com, so we can have a conversation. If we're a match, we work together. But let's get into it. So what exactly is a spiritual initiation? See, an initiation is not random hardship, right? It's not. It's a structured collapse and the rebirth of the self. And this only happened because it was engineered by divine intelligence to catalyze your own evolution. You see what I'm saying? So a spiritual initiation is an intentional experience of death and rebirth that forces the dissolution of the old ego identity, the false self. And when you come through it, it births a sovereign higher order self, right? It sounds like magic, but this is what it is, Dawn Marie. And when you look through history, and I like to borrow from ancient Egypt a lot, in Kemetic or ancient Egypt, initiates underwent ritual death, symbolizing the end of the lower self and therefore ascension to divine consciousness. In Tibetan teachings, particularly Tibetan Buddhism, after death, it is said that the soul traverses realms mirroring its unresolved attachments, which is a direct parallel to the emotional hellscape of narcissistic abuse. So the purpose of narcissistic abuse is to help you release these attachments. And this is no surprise that even in Freemasonry, and I was once a Freemason, the symbolic death of an initiate is followed by the resurrection as a master mason. This is what happens, right? And then you hear about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, that every hero must enter the belly of the whale, just like Jonah. And the belly of the whale is the underworld, where you face death and reclaim a new life. See? So from a scientific perspective, neuroscience says for profound change to occur, the brain must be forced into a state of disruption and reformation. Our brain, I've been crying for 3 years straight. I get it. And this is what we're talking about today. Now, when you look at it from a quantum perspective, it also, quantum physics shows that to shift into a new state, the old wave function must collapse, allowing a new possibility to emerge. In other words, you cannot emerge to this higher self until the old self has been recognized, acknowledged, and seen, and therefore put to bed. And even further, chaos theory shows that complex systems evolve when equilibrium is destabilized. right? And that equilibrium is just like the destabilization that happened to you because of your narcissistic abuse. Do you see? I'm grateful for you too. And I'm not seeing all the comments because I'll start reading the comments in about 10 minutes or so when we start to take questions. But I'm so grateful for everybody who's here on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, right? So the key point is that initiation is a cosmic technology across time and culture to force the evolution of consciousness. In other words, an empath from China has similar experiences to an empath born in New York, and similar to an empath born in Khartoum, similar to the empath born in Mongolia, similar to the empath born in Ghana. This is why you know that it's a spiritual initiation that cuts across culture and boundaries, right? So, how is narcissistic abuse an initiation? What are you talking about, Nana? How is it an initiation? And by the way, somebody let me know if I'm making sense to you, because I don't want to just be talking to myself here, right? Before we start taking questions, am I making sense? Is this resonating? Is this connecting with you? So to get back to the point, how is narcissistic abuse an initiation? You see, narcissistic abuse doesn't just resemble regular initiations, right? It's in the modern unconscious mind of an empath, an initiation that pushes you to your higher self. Thank you, Miss Wonder Woman. So I'll go through some stages of this initiation. And you can look at Joseph Campbell's work or other similar work that enable you to see the initiation path from a clear perspective. See, the first is the narcissist was your threshold guardian, your gatekeeper. Because in every myth, every hero or heroine faces a threshold guardian. And the role of a narcissist is not to destroy, even though they came to destroy, it is to test whether you are like them, hell, or you're actually heaven, an empath. And the narcissist is not merely an abuser, even though they are the catalyst testing your readiness to ascend. You see, it's almost like the mythology of Cerberus at the gate of Hades, right? You meet this character just before you go to hell. Or what Jung talks about with the shadow, which is the adversary who forces shadow integration. Do you see what I'm saying? I know it's an abandonment with Jackety Jack, hell with Mara Mara. So this is what happens. And in trauma theory, it's known as the perpetrator victim rescuer triangle, which pushes identity reformation. Thank you so much, Arbang. Now that you've met the gatekeeper, what happens next? The next phase of the journey is the descent into hell, or your entry into the hell realm. Thank you, Heather. Because every initiation includes a descent into darkness, whether you like it or not. Thank you, Michelle. You're so kind. You see, in narcissistic abuse, your descent into hell looks like gaslighting. It looks like isolation. And it looks like identity erosion. Do you see? And when you look at it from a cross-disciplinary perspective, Naraka, or the hell realms in Buddhism, are purgatorial. It's to purge you, clearing karmic residue, and it's not to commit you to eternal damnation. I will take video questions soon, so bear with us. Then you come to neuroscience. In neuroscience, because I like to give you evidence, neuroscience talks about limbic system disintegration, particularly in trauma survivors. That looks like ego death. And also we know that science tells us, particularly physics, that entropy precedes the emergence of higher order structures. Or another way to say it is chaos is the precedent for order. So what looks like chaos is only bringing the conditions for order to exist. So the fact is, you are not destroyed through your narcissistic abuse you went to. You are simply disassembled for transformation. So now that you're in hell, what is next? This is where the pain exists. Because in ancient rites, the ordeal purifies the initiate. So narcissistic abuse forces confrontation with your abandonment wounds, your codependency patterns, your external addiction to external validation. All of that happens through the things that you go through. And often trauma survivors report increased empathy and spiritual awakening and nervous system recalibration after going through these ordeals. And in epigenetics, I know angelic fire, I get it. In epigenetics, it is said that trauma-induced gene expression can alleviate resilience coding for future generations. In other words, the trauma that you experienced as a result of narcissistic abuse wasn't simply based on what you observed with your parents or caregivers. It was also passed on to you in your junk DNA from your grandparents, who got it from their parents, who got it from their grandparents, and on and on and on and on. So you realize that the collapse of the observer effect changes reality construction when you begin to understand your ordeal as a purification process. Your pain was the fire that was needed to purify you. So you're not hellish like these narcissistic demons. Because what's the difference between you and the narcissist until you've been through the valley of the shadow of hell and don't become hellish? This is how you know you're not like them. So now that you've descended into hell and you've gone through the ordeal, what happens next? What happens next is purification. And I know this word purification might be triggering for some, but this is what it is. This is how you cleanse and purge yourself. See, the narcissist betrayal burns away all your illusions, Dawn Marie, all of them, Jackety Jack. You see, and it dissolves the false self. Exactly, Miss Wonder Woman. And when this false self is dissolved, there can be the emergence of the sovereign self. Destiny stealing, that's exactly it. And you said it. So when you've gone through a purification process, and the purification process for different folks can last for a long time, because sometimes you're still resonant to this negative energy. So you continue sticking around with this. Oh, hey, babe, you see that? But purification is really you purging yourself of anything in you that is like the world. And this is not a salvation in a Christian sense, or an Islamic sense, or Buddhist sense, or Jewish sense. This is purification based on truth. And you are the judge of that, not anyone outside you. So after you go through purification, thank you, you emerge. And some of you may be at this point where you emerge. After death comes resurrection, Miss Wonder Woman. And the empath becomes an initiate mentor aligned with divine purpose. In other words, you are sent to your divine nature as a light worker. Whether you're doing it through music, whether you're doing it as a healer, as a technologist, whatever you do, that you don't fully embody being a light worker until you've been purified by the abuse you went through. And when you emerge as this new being, this new beautiful being, it doesn't mean suffering is over. It just means you've just embraced coming to the new earth. And when you're born again, you're like a baby. You don't know what to do. And this is what neuroplasticity describes. And neuroplastic changes produce a new identity matrix. You start to attract different people, different experiences. Things you used to like before no longer resonate, Heather. You see, this is what happens. And old trauma circuits begin to dissolve. And exactly, Ms. Wonder Woman, exactly, Dawn Marie, new empowered neural patterns emerge. But I have to be honest with you that there's still the battle between the old self and the new self, even at this phase, because your old self is trying to make an appearance. Hey, come on, why don't you get pissed off and angry a little bit? But what has happened to you is your energy signature ascends into a new timeline. And it's a timeline of love that the narcissist cannot follow. Because a narcissist lives in a permanent place of hell. It's almost like in the movie Sinners by Ryan Coogler, where it's the battle between the regular folk and the vampires. That movie is strictly about narcissistic abuse. If you haven't seen Sinners by Ryan Coogler and you want to understand narcissistic abuse, the battle between the chosen ones and the demons, that's what that movie was about. Ryan Coogler, wherever you are, my brother Ryan Coogler. You saw it, Yvonne. That's a beautiful movie. And Michael B. Jordan and all these chosen people in that movie. did an incredible job. Delroy Lindo. So let me give you proof. I've just given you cinematic proof from the movie Sinners, right? But I want to go into further proof because what we're talking about is not speculative. And I want to give you a multidimensional perspective to prove this. So from a science perspective, neuroplasticity states simply that trauma-induced suffering rewires your mind and creates new self-concepts. So you become a new person, a new being with a new name. You see, Yoni, what's up, man? How are things in Addis Ababa? Then survivors who regulate the vagus nerve experience less PTSD because this is what it does to you. And it's important to recognize that your trauma can actually activate latent DNA, which unlocks ancestral wisdom and resilience. You remember the medicine woman in Sinners? How did she remember how to use the voodoo hoodoo? Memory. Now, when you come to psychology and trauma, you start with attachment theory. Thank you, Cynthia. Survivors of abuse often evolve from anxious or avoidant styles into secure sovereignty after awakening. This is studied. And Carl Jung said that the individuation process confirms that integrating your shadow self into your true self awakens your higher self. Now, I'll give you some more spiritual perspective. In Buddhism, trauma is a karmic purification that accelerates awakening. And that trauma in Buddhism, Theravadan Buddhism, is called dukkha. In Hermeticism, the narcissistic cycle forces mastery of mentalism, all is mind, what we talked about last Friday, and all the other laws of Hermeticism, the 7 Hermetic principles. Hell is low indeed. Oh, Arbeng, you know a few things. Head start, heaven, you got it. You see? So this is how you come to it. I'm so glad, Don Marina, this is resonating. Then when you look at it from a quantum perspective and a mathematical perspective, changing the inner observer shifts the external reality. That's the observer effect. So wherever your attention goes, shifts the thing you're looking at. So if your attention is on love and higher frequency and healing, that's how your life starts to flow. Because energy goes where attention focuses. You see? And we know, again, from chaos theory that destructive dynamics birth higher order complexity. So darkness brings order. So what happens to you after you survive initiation? This is important. What happens to you? I know you're nervous, Arbang, but what happens to you after you survive initiation? The first thing is cognitive disillusionment. Because you see, the narcissist and the abuse were never personal. Even though they were your parents and your lovers and your friends, it was never personal. They were simply mirrors for unconscious wounds and your latent power. In other words, without the narcissist, you would not have recovered as a people pleaser. You would not have recovered as a codependent, right? It just wouldn't have happened, Live Free. It wouldn't have happened, Christine. I know you're going through it. You see, without narcissistic abuse, you would not have realized how you were self-sacrificing. And the next thing leads to is emotional alchemy, because suppressed emotions surface and are transmuted into wisdom and compassion, which is where somatic release and somatic therapies and mindful processing help you facilitate this kind of release that leads to cellular and energetic release. Getting to love is essential. You said it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. And then as a result of your emotional alchemy, your nervous system, and if we knew what the power of the nervous system was, we would so much focus on regulating our nervous systems. And this is what we do on Inner Mileage, Londell. Your nervous system goes through a rebirth because trauma resolution leads to a relaxed vagal state, relaxed sense of empowerment. And your body stops perceiving threats from old triggers, not in the way they used to. It takes some time to go away completely, but you no longer perceive threats in the same way. Do you see? And you start to become emotionally sovereign because whatever you practice, you become good at. And remember, you were very good at practicing trauma. That's why you became an excellent traumatized person. And when you're able to regulate your nervous system, and if you need help in doing that, this is what we're here for at Inner Mileage. Book a free session. Or if you're ready to work, just let me know. Let's get to work. If there's alignment, is with the rebirth of your nervous system comes energetic detachment. Now, I cannot emphasize how strongly important detachment is on the healing journey, particularly detachment from the people that you thought you loved. It wasn't love, it was just trauma bonding, Queen Glow. So energetic detachment leads to the resolution and dissolving of trauma bonds, right? Karmic cords are cut, and your vibrational signature ascends into new harmonic resonance unreachable by abusers. By the way, Heather, I do have a masterclass on escaping narcissistic abuse. It'll be on the weekend of June 6th through June 8th. So if you want to sign up, you want to sign up now before May 25th. It's a masterclass. It will be live over Zoom for anyone who's interested. Escaping Narcissistic Abuse Masterclass. You can find the details on my website, innermileage.com, link in profiles. But coming back to the point, when you ascend into a new harmonic resonance, this is how you begin to activate your soul gifts. It's a nice way of saying when you release and forgive the past, you become lighter. And as a result, you have enhanced, you're welcome, you have enhanced intuition. Your spiritual discernment is next level. You're more comfortable leading yourself, and you have purpose clarity. You don't tolerate abuse from anybody. And if it's your calling to be a lighthouse for others, you ascend to the role of being a guide, a mentor, a light being, a light worker. You see what I'm saying? Exactly, Miss Wonder Woman. You no longer seek rescue. You become a mentor, a guide for others on the path. And this is the hero's return that Joseph Campbell talked about. You know, it starts with refusal of the call and ends at the hero's return. So the truth is, not everyone survives initiation, Earthlines. Not everybody survives this. Some stay trapped because they mistake the ordeal for their identity. This is me. Who am I without this identity? But for those who accept the initiation, right? Transcendence is inevitable. You said it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Transcendence is inevitable. And your task is not just to escape the narcissist, although it is. Your task is to awaken. Your task is to purify. And your task is to lead. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, hey, babe. In the words of the ancient mysteries, and you often hear this in the Bob Marley song, he says, the stone that the builders rejected becomes the head cornerstone. The stone that the builder rejects shall become the head cornerstone. I forget the title of the song. This is Bob Marley. So you realize that us within, so without, us above, so below. So you become that. That's right. You become that. So in closing, if you're watching this, it is because you're not just a survivor. You are an initiate, a new sovereign leader in the making. And now we can take some video calls. If you want me to call you in on Instagram, you can do the video request. On TikTok, you can request to be on video, or I can pick some random folks. And on YouTube, we'll keep reading your text. But again, it's important to realize that everything that happened to you, the Kundalini awakening you talk about, Christina Hall, the destiny stealing you talk about, N, these are all signs of your initiation. That what you went through was an initiation journey. It was not a journey to punish you. It was a journey to initiate you and realign you from the mundane self, I'm just a person, to the truth that you are an earth angel. You see, most of us think the angels are Gabriel and Uriel coming down with their wings and all that. But how do human beings get blessed? Through other human beings. And as a light worker, you become that for others who are assigned to you. You see, the unhealed empath wanting to save everybody. That's people pleasing. People pleasing is basically kindness without boundaries. People pleasing is kindness without boundaries. I should trademark that term. People pleasing is kindness without boundaries. But when you wake up as an initiate, you become a representation of the divine because you've woken up to your Christ consciousness. So when people meet you, they should feel that energy within you. You don't have to go announce that I'm an earth angel. But when people meet you, they should be able to sense that's an earth angel. The animals should be staring at you. Children should be staring at you. You know, human beings should be following your energy, even if you're an extrovert. This is what the initiation is about. That's how you know. That's how you know that you've been called. You see, many are called, few are chosen. And we are at a point on this planet where the planet is heading to what the Bible called morphic resonance, where when a certain number of people awaken, it becomes a tipping point for more people to awaken. Heavy is the head, exactly. So we're going to take some questions now. All right, let's start with Instagram. Take some quick comments and questions. But this is the whole story. This is how you get initiated. Live free. I was flung into the hell realm this weekend. Oh my. Hard to imagine that way every day, every way. Oh, I'm so sorry, Kiki. And if you're ready to work, you know where to find me. Hi, Yvonne. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. How was your weekend?
It was great. I actually saw Sinners over the weekend.
Brilliant. So tell me, how did Sinners confirm for you that your experiences with your journey was an initiation?
Just the symbolism through that one character, Annie, knowing exactly what they were dealing with spiritually and how she came to that knowledge. I know from what she said her grandmother taught her and just her own experience in dealing with the spiritual life, spiritual warfare. There was so much in it, but when you talked about how using dance and music, that was all relevant in there. Even when the vampires came together, there was song and there was dance in that as well. And that's a tool that we need to use to keep ourselves up where we need to be.
You said it. And it's one of the reasons why music and dance are sacred rights.
Yes. But when I went to Africa, I went to Nigeria about 7 years ago. One of the things I noticed and I was told is that how they move their bodies tells you what area they're from. If they move it more at the waist, that's how they were taught to dance and to war. So you can look at how a person danced. You go, oh, they're from this area. Oh, they're from that area. You talked about angels, earth angels. You don't have to announce it, how your energy gives off that. That's nothing that I don't like titles. I let people's fruits speak for themselves. And that's how our energy is as we go through this transformation. You become from a people pleaser to someone who knows that they're here to help people, but it's on an assignment base only.
You said it. So for anyone who's still struggling in the throes of narcissistic abuse and can't find a way out, how does such a person see the experience as this is an initiation?
Think of it as you deciding if you're going to take the red pill or the blue pill. I decided years ago I was coming out of the matrix. And that red pill is really the pill of freedom. That blue pill will keep you in that mindset, oh, I have to be self-sacrificing. Oh, I have to give above and beyond what I'm supposed to. That's the blue pill mentality. But I decided years ago that I was out of the matrix. I was not going to. So I've been dodging bullets like Neo for a long time. But I can stand here today and say not one has come to where it has harmed me spiritually eventually where I could not get up and keep going. And so I stopped running from the change that was trying to overtake me as I was coming out of the matrix. You know, God put me in the path of people, as well as your team, your connection here with you. God will put people in your path to help you in this journey to come out. The right people that will assist you. Besides the people here in the 3D, there's a spiritual team assigned to each and every one of us to help us come out. We got to put them to work and stop doing so much work and let our spiritual team work for us.
What? You've done a lot of work, Yvonne. You've done a lot of work. You really have. You really, really have. You really, really have.
And for those that are exhausted, you need to look at if you're actually doing that. If you're trying to, you could be mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, spiritually exhausted. And if you're exhausted, then the scales are not balanced. It's off somewhere.
Wow. Wow. You know, you are, if I can't tell you who you are, but the reflection I'm getting is the epitome of the divine feminine.
Mm. I receive that.
The epitome of the divine feminine.
Mm.
Yeah. So there's a lot of grace and strength, and the kind of grace that comes from.
There's been, it comes from a lot of self-awareness, a lot of healthy boundary setting, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of shutting the noise of people that think they know what's best for me. There's a lot. And don't be surprised if you get the dog to look at you and just be like, there's something different. Don't be surprised if you're in the grocery store and somebody just starts talking to you and telling you their whole problem because of that energy. Don't be surprised of the favor that you get when you come out of narcissistic abuse. Look for the blessings. And I'm not just talking about the spiritual and the emotional blessings, but God is trying to get us to make room for the blessings that are for us.
Wow. You said it all. You said it all. So, final question for you before you go.
Sure.
Looking back at your journey, of course, we don't want to admire problems because we've transcended them. Would you change anything or not, and why?
I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because of who I am today.
You heard that.
And I know my ancestors are proud. I was chosen for this, to break this for my family. And not only my family, but the people that I've come in contact with. So I wouldn't change a thing because it was all part of the recipe that I needed for my life. And sometimes God will speak to me with just one word. And the other day, he just spoke to me the word mulligan stew. And I was like, mulligan stew? What is mulligan stew? So, of course, I had to look it up. And mulligan stew is what the hobos used to make that would travel down the railways. And, they'd ride on the train for free, just traveling the world. And they would come together as a community, bring what they had, and made a meal, and they would all eat, and it was called mulligan stew. I feel that right now as a community, we're all bringing our experiences. We're stirring it together. We're mixing it together. And we're sharing in this. We're feasting on all of this because everybody has an important role in this community. But in your life, don't be afraid to partner and share and work with people that may not be from what you're familiar with. Be open to meeting people that you may not have thought you could possibly communicate with and have a similar understanding. Your soul tribe is not going to be cookie cutter.
You said it. You said it. This is howling wolf. I asked for water. Mississippi. There you go. There you go. This is howling wolf. Woo! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sending you good energy and wishing you a wonderful week. God bless. God bless. God bless. God bless. You heard it. You heard it from Yvonne. That what's happening to you is not an accident. It's not. Oh, thank you, Isabel. The fear of everything global. You got it. Acta M. Gladden, you're welcome. You're welcome. Let it do what it does. Exactly. You see? And I'm missing some of the comments here. Great band, Mulligan Stew. Exactly. Of course, your ancestors are proud of you, Michelle. Kelsey, you're right. It's all about being grateful. All about being grateful. This is what it's about. You see, what happened to you, Ellie, was an initiation. It was an initiation. It wasn't just punishment, although it feels like punishment. It really was an initiation. Thank you, Ray James. You see, so maybe we'll get one or two others in here. I'll get in some random folks because we like to have some voices, right? But this is what it's about. It was an initiation. It had to happen. It had to happen to you. So whoever wants to come in, just come on in. You see? And this movie, Sinners, if you haven't seen it, I don't know Ryan Coogler. I don't get it. But the messaging was so powerful. You see? The message was so powerful that it's about realizing that the battle between dark and light is reaching a crescendo. And the reason I'm talking about this movie, Sinners, is Sinners was about narcissists versus empaths. Really. You said it, Honey Bun. I'm glad you're going to see Honey Buns. It's a great, great, great movie. Very powerful. And speaks to everything that we're talking about here, right? This is what it's about. That when you understand that you went through a deep initiation. Yes, Dawn Marie, I'm telling you. Did your son like it? The moment you see that, right? The moment you see that your experience was an initiation, it will change the way you relate to the pain and abuse that you've gone through. And you actually begin to see yourself as the hero in your own story, the hero that you are, the main character that you are. Because for too long, you've been made to feel like you were second best. You were not good enough. You got scared. Why did you get scared, Miss Wonder Woman? You know, this is what it's about. So when you become the main character in your movie, you begin to realize that you are worthy. You are worthy. What are you worthy of? Worthy of love. You see? And when you realize you're worthy of love, you share that love freely. And that's what it's about. Particularly in a world that is now so hateful. The revolution is love. We are our own superheroes. You said it, Yvonne. We are our own superheroes. There's no one coming to save you because you don't need anyone to save you. And the more you save yourself, you can help others save themselves. That's the point. Each one reach one. Love is my religion. Ziggy Marley said it. Dawn Marie, this is what it's about. It was simply an initiation. An initiation to separate you from the throes of hell. Because how do you know that you're one of the activated ones, if I can put it that way, is that you went through the same experiences as a narcissist did and didn't become narcissistic. Oh, am I talking to someone here? How do you go through hell and not become hell? Because a narcissist with a lot of empathy became hell because they went through hell. That's why I have a lot of empathy for narcissists. As demonic and wicked as they are, we know that the narcissist became a narcissist because they went through hell and became hell. Now the empath is an empath because the empath goes through the same hell or worse and comes out an angel. Am I talking to myself? Somebody tell me I'm talking to you. We came out strong. We came out light. Of course, you've always been different, Michelle. That's how you know. We choose love all the time, even when we don't feel like it. We have to remember why we are here temporarily. Exactly, because this avatar is only here for 100 years max. Of course, they're talking about singularity and living forever, but come on, you're not supposed to live in this forever. You're supposed to ascend to the next realm. The time is amazing. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm glad, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad. This is what it is. You see? So when you begin to understand your trauma as an initiation, it changes everything. Because for so long, a lot of us thought we were victims and stuck, not good enough, cursed, stuck in this karmic loop, or what the psychologists call a default mode network. But we all get there. I know we all get it here, Isabel. You said it. Freckles Place, Christina. You see, this is what it's about. Turmoil created us for entertainment. Global, you said it. The empath goes through hell and comes out an angel. That's exactly what happens, Brett. This is how you know you are an earth angel. You don't walk around and say, I'm an earth angel, I'm an empath. So what? It doesn't mean anything. It means everything when you understand. How do you deal with envy? You don't. Envy, why do you have to deal with envy? From who? If somebody is around you is envious, why are you around that? Why are you around that energy? Exotic chic? For what? Envy for what? You want to be around love, right? And of course, you also want to be able to be around envious energy without being overcome by it. Because you are here to transmute, not to be transmuted. You get what I'm saying? This is the whole kit and caboodle. You see, this is the whole kit and caboodle. This is how you wake up from this whole thing. You see? So when you understand this, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. You see? This is ants to you, gods to who? This is Andre 3000. Andre 3000 from his new flute album, Ants to you, gods to who? Andre 3000 is telling you. Ants to who, gods to who? This is what an empath becomes. Andre 3000 is telling you with his flute. That's what you hear in the background from his recent album, which was a spiritual awakening album, because he's a chosen one. You see, you become unstoppable. Fear no evil, Dawn Marie, because that was the point of going to the valley of the shadow of death, like we all have been. All of us. Of course, you trigger it, Exotic Chic, because you are an empath. And get used to people hating you or being envious of you for no reason. It's actually misplaced admiration because you carry a frequency they want. So this is the information. The information is summed up best by this song by Andre 3000. Ants to you, gods to who? You see? The cycle changed. This is what happens when you shift. You attract different kinds of people. You become resonant with different energy. Hotel Real. That album was a prayer. How could you relate to that frequency if you're not on that frequency? This is the frequency. Your frequency is where you frequently frequent. So if you frequently frequent places of hate, that's going to be your frequency. If you frequently frequent places of love, that will be your frequency. So in conclusion, your spiritual abuse, the narcissistic abuse, the bullying, the psychopathic strangulation, the discard, the denial, all of that was spiritual initiation. It was to bring you to diamonds and gold. 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 Oh, woo! Woo! Walk with pride. The pride of knowing that you are an initiate. That there's gold and diamonds under your feet because you found the ultimate wealth. And the ultimate wealth was to find yourself. The ultimate wealth was yourself. You said it. So that's the message, family. One love. One love. One love. The last will be fast and the fast will be last. The last will be fast and the fast will be last. This is the message. I appreciate you all. May you all be abundant in all you do. May you all be happy in all you do. May you all be healthy in all you do. May you be discerning in all you do. Jah love, Selassie. Yes. Peace. Yeah. You can't be stopped. Can't be stopped. Jah know.